I wanted to ask you about Vibe.
Oh, yes. Yes. Son I never acknowledged.
Really?
I do now. Oh, I fucking love him now.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I think he got a short change for a while and not really has nothing to do with Flash or the Arrowverse. I mean, I like what they did with that. But I like what has happened with Vibe. I guess it was, I can't tell anymore whether it's right before New 52 or post New 52, but
post 52.
Okay.
52. I could be wrong because I don't even follow these things. You guys know more about this shit than I do.
Well, I try to follow it. I try to remember it, but there's so many restarts and reboots and this, that, and the other nowadays. I can't keep track. And then when the whole New 52 started, I felt dirty in my own skin reading it. I really didn't like it. However, I did like what they were doing with Vibe.
Yeah, I agree.
And I guess that was, I don't know if that's all Jeff Johns doing or what have you, but it was, I thought he would, or there was a role of taking characters and really fleshing their stories out and making them make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is funny because people ask me about JLA Detroit. Who came up with that screwed up idea? And honestly, the idea of it, I set it up for you. You know that all these major characters are being dragged off. But if we're going to put new characters in it, and Lynn was of the feeling as well. Let's grab guys you little know. I mean, DC is filled with so many great characters. Why can't we bring those in? Mm-hmm. But then everybody had their fingers on something. Because the first guy I wanted to bring into JLA was Metamorpho. And unfortunately, he's now Outsiders. Next guy, Black Lightning, Outsiders. So it's like Mark Barr already jumped on the ball and grabbed the guys I wanted. And because I could clearly see how I wanted to go with them, which is sort of a version of what we did, but better. Again, it was going to be acknowledgement of the B characters of DC, who is now going to come in. Because Avengers did it so well. And as much as we're going, and they even actually X-Men. X-Men did that well. I mean, Wolverine was never a huge character until he became an X-Men. Mm-hmm. He was out there. He went after the Hulk. So that thinking was behind that of let's take those guys, but we couldn't decide, and it was so convoluted. That was the thing, so much convoluted characters, and who's doing this, who's doing that. I mean, somewhere in there, I even wanted to get Orion because I love the New Gods, but I couldn't figure out how to do it, at the time. And also it made a big difference of up until Jerry came back, we still weren't sure who's going to write the book or how they're going to write it, who's going to do it. Then when Jerry came back and went, I got it, we got to be totally new. He was the one that kind of tipped the scale on, let's not go and get guys we have already. Let's go for new characters. Strategically and very smart of him, because we would have some ownership to it, which me, the rookie, had no clue about. And Jerry's like going, no, we say we create this, it's going to be Jerry Conway, Chuck Patton, as opposed to Marty, so I can't remember the old guys, Jerry Robinson character,
Yeah.
Which, God bless Jerry Robinson, but if we're going to bring in a new life so we can make some money out of it, because that was becoming the big thing too, behind the scenes, is how can we as artists make some benefit on the work that we're doing? We're taking these books and making them, especially when we're seeing what George did with Titans. And this isn't the same old Nick Hardy Titans. This is the new Titans. And him and Marv now making some ownership change over, from everybody, because Beast Boy was actually part of Doom Patrol.
Right. Yeah.
Now it's so that got a little savvy of, oh, wait, okay. So we can get some money out of this and some more and better creds than what we're getting as just artist writer. So that's when I went, all right, I'm the rookie, I'm going to follow you. And I really counted on him to guide me. And honestly, up to that moment, he was great with that. So I went along with, all right, no more of us going back to the back pages and trying to find somebody. Because after a while, too, I think it also wasn't going to help the league at that point. people kind of expected it, and we wanted to be unexpected. So that was really important that we go, all right, let's go for new guys. That's a whole another story by itself. Mm-hmm. Your question, yeah, I think Jeff Johns is the guy to thank for Vibe being picked up and giving respect. I know on an animation level, it was definitely him.
On the Justice League Unlimited or something?
No, well, the director I was working with, because I was just boarding at the time, I've always had a hard time getting directing gigs from DC, from Warner's. It's a long story. Honestly, it's about nepotism. Okay. You got to be part of a little clique, and if you're not part of that clique, then you're not going to get it. Or if you're part of that clique, you're stuck just what you've done. I had directed prior to that and still couldn't get a directing gig. Doing storyboards, yeah. And I was working on, I think the first one I worked on with them was Titans. And then, how did I get on? I think it was Brave and Bold. Well, I did Brave and Bold, Titans, Legion of Superheroes. I'm missing something. Well, Scooby-Doo, it doesn't count. But one of the directors who had worked on Justice League was a big JLD fan. And he used to always come and bug me about questions like this, which at that time, up until like the last, 9 years, I really could not talk about JLA Detroit. I really it was a hard thing for me to talk about. It was a failure. I felt like I had failed. I felt like I never wanted to blame Jerry. It wasn't fair, but I later had to give ownership to some of it. With that, he acknowledged it and went, okay, I can acknowledge it too. We just didn't. We went from starting to work together to kind of going apart. It wasn't a nasty thing. It's just that we were, and my inner fanboy wasn't happy with the stuff I was doing and what he was doing. And I really wanted to feel more connected to the book. I stopped feeling like that's why I left. I felt 2 years on that book, a year of hard work keeping it going, and then picking it up and trying to make it go in this new path, and it just wasn't working. So, and I felt like Vibe was just a bad move on how we had talked about it and what we executed, and I wasn't happy. So, jump years later, I'm in animation doing storyboards. This director comes in and goes, I love Vibe. And he goes, well, good for you. And he goes, no, really, I really love what you did. And he's not Latino. He's not even American. He's Canadian. He was just going on about how Vibe was so important to him. And I'm listening to this, and it's starting to hit me like, wow, somebody really liked this. I never thought anybody liked it. I always thought when I saw the fan writings in the back issue magazine, and they're all making little, we have feelings, and it hurts when you fail on something. You feel like you take it personally. Yeah. But then it's great to hear the opposite of someone going, no, this is why I did it. And in the big penultimate JLA episode, they had Justice League Detroit run out. And he goes, you never saw it? And I goes, no, man, I would not watch it. I can't watch JLA. It's a painful thing. And he showed it to me, and I'm like, damn, you did a good job. I got this plot. I got this idea. They were going to do these shorts, these animated shorts called DC Nation. He had talked them into doing a Vibe short. And I'm listening to it, and he goes, no, I want you to work with me on this. I'm going to produce it. You're going to direct it. Go, really? He goes, yeah, you got to. You're the creator of Vibe. You got to do it. And I goes, well, okay, I'll do it for only 2 reasons. If we can kind of have fun with it and not play it straight, and instead of, we're not going to embrace the stupid, we're not going to go through the ethnic stuff that pissed everybody off. We're not going to do that because that's disingenuous. But we are going to embrace how outrageous it is. It's an 80s cartoon, so it should look like an 80s cartoon. It should look like Jim and the Hallstones. And he's like, really? That's what I want to do. And he goes, yeah, we're going to make it. And by that time, I had done enough shows. Because we got to make it look like it's a bad 80s cartoon that has missing color, oversaturation, maybe some bad lip sync here and there.
As the DC Universe app?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. This is the DC Nation.
Yes. Yeah.
He plotted this out to make it look like a takeoff on an 80s thing. And he went nuts and said, he sold it to him. Now, Warner's is willing to do it. DC was like, why do you want to touch that character? That's a character nobody wants to talk about. He's like, wished into the cornfield. He's person non grata. Don't talk about it. Somehow Jeff Johns hears about it. From what I hear, I've never talked to Jeff face to face with Facebook friends. I never. And apparently he went the same as like my friend went. That guy was my favorite. Let's bring him back. Let's do something with him. We could do more. So they went, okay, it's up to you. We're not going to touch him, but you want to do it? So we're giving him permission to do it. Now, Warner's went now to my friend, you got to direct it. We're not going to have him direct it, but he got me to design the characters. I had to design the characters and, of course, board it. And it was practically like I was directing it anyway. And he and I would work really close on it. We got to where we had to do these. He even brought in Dr. Ivo, which is the one that I designed based off Lynn. Lynn wanted me to make Dr. Ivo disgusting. That's why you see. Actually, he did it earlier with Dick Dillon. I went in and refined the ugliness. And so Ben Jones, the director, was like, we got to use that Dr. Ivo. I'm like, okay. And what about those android guys? I goes, okay. So those androids were from my first CLA, which Dr. Ivo used. So it was like a real, I found love with Vibe again by doing that.
Awesome.
And we did it in the 80s. And when we got to the dancing stuff, that's when I realized, okay, now I can finally pay homage to the Vibe the way he deserved it. I had us get some B-boy street dancing and use that as not just rotoscope, but for examples for the animators. In some cases, they actually did the actual move into the animation. Because that was the problem in drawing Vibe, is that this is a character of motion. You really can't show it the way, pop locking. You can't draw that. It's hard to draw that. We only got so many panels to draw. You wind up, it's like a storyboard. But now that we're storyboarding and doing this in animation, it was a joy to do. Now we have examples. And when we got the animation back, Ben started telling them, okay, now stagger the animation so it's a little off, so it looks like the 80s. We did it so well that Warner's thought that the studio purposely fucked up. No, that's the way we want.
No, that's the idea.
Yeah, we had to back off because they were like, no, that looks too good. It was like too much of an F up. And they're probably right, because this is only it was going to be only like a minute and 20 seconds. And all of a sudden we did 2 minutes. We made it into a two-parter because everybody was liking it. And John saw it, and he immediately, when he got to be Power B at DC, he revitalized Vibe. And that's how Vibe made a comeback. And then Flash got a hold of him. Now, personally, I love what they did. That also helped me fall in love with Vibe again, because I thought that Vibe, he's more in tune with what's going on now. And I love that he's a gearhead, science head and all that, and also a fanboy. And he still has the costume. He has the powers. He doesn't have to dance. So what? Dancing, that was my biggest problem in the first place anyway, was that I really hate gimmicks. And when Jerry wanted to do the break dancing, I always felt like, oh God, no. I wasn't a break dancer. I'm an R&B guy. Me and hip hop aren't exactly friends. So it's just, I just didn't want to, I didn't want it. I knew it was going to be hard. And I also felt like it was a fan.
Right.
And so that didn't help. But what they did on Arrow and Arrowverse with him, I thought was wonderful. Still do.
Great.
Hey, that's a long example.
No, it's
made a comeback. I love him. After that, I don't know how many people, I mean, a lot of people at conventions and podcasts have come to me and said how much Vibe meant to them. I wish I knew that then. I'm glad to hear it now. It makes up for a lot, because I did walk away. But it's great to kind of come back in because of him. He's been very, very good to me. So I'm grateful. I'm glad to kind of like accept him as that child of mine.
That's awesome. I'm curious, from your artistic eye, the 80s, late 80s come, early 90s, you see the Jim Lees, the Rob Liefelds, and Todd McFarlane's, and art is changing in comics.
Yeah.
What were you thinking when you're seeing, these jacked superheroes and, a lot different from the old school art, but it's catching on. What are you thinking? What's going through your head?
It's I'm trying to get in trouble.
It was
in trouble. I've always been, my influences have always been the strong draftsmen, storytellers. And in the long run, when all says and done, it's got to be great storytelling. I've always felt that the Image School was not about that. It's about storytelling. And those who were storytellers were doing a nice combination. I thought that what Silvestri was doing, I thought what Larson was doing, I thought what Jim Lee was doing, I could see that. I couldn't see what Todd was doing. I saw it, I just wasn't attracted to it. And the same with Rob. I saw what the fans reacted to, and that said to me, they obviously were right. You give your audience what they want. But for me, I wasn't their audience. So I wasn't later when I worked with Todd on Spawn, we talk about how to do the storytelling in that. And it was funny where I found, now you're seeing what my stuff was about, which is about creating mood, character, how to make this cinematic. But that's really wasn't in Spawn, in the live action, even the movie, we talk about it like, honestly, why did it fail? And it was because it couldn't decide what the hell it was supposed to be. Right. And in the animated show, we decided what it was going to be. It was what it was. It was a horror, science fiction, fantasy. More horror, less superhero.
Right.
Even with Kate, we tried to keep that. We definitely went to a horror school element with that. Right. And that was good. And I thought if the movie had even that kind of a directive or direction, it would have probably been better. But it kind of tried to be so many different things, and the technology it relied on was not ready for that. And
do you think your school of drawing is coming back now a bit more, or do you think it's?
It's funny. It's like, I don't think the kind of comics that excited me, but also scared me in the sense of overwhelmed me, was when Marvel's brought in Brian Hitch, and all of a sudden this cinematic storytelling, widescreen action came in, which I loved, but it was like, that's a hell of a lot of drawing. That's a lot of details. Oh my God. You want to do it, but man, if we were doing it back in the day, I was doing almost the equivalent of 2 books a month. You can't do those kind of books at 2 books a month. Or if you are, I don't know how you're making money.
Right.
Because it's really, you have to have like a whole bunch of guys work with you. I'm sure guys do. But because even what you're seeing, what Image is doing now, they're not doing the same thing those guys were doing. No. And I'm gratified to see, I'm always gratified to see, I say gratified, but I mean gratified. Same word. It's great to see that, see storytelling is strong. Convolution, whether it's over lines or over details or over story, never works for me.
Right.
I think it's a fad.
Yeah. And
that's the danger, I think, at least for me, that's the unattractiveness of certain books like that, where it's like they're playing to this, it's like big blockbuster movies. They're playing for the explosion, but you forget the damn story. I'm bored. I need the story. I got to enjoy the story. If I don't have that general story, I'm not interested. One of the things I was telling some of my artists about what I loved about Mandalorian is that why it did better than the trilogy of the Star Wars movies, because they took a small story just like the original Star Wars and stayed with that story. They knew it was about character. They didn't give a shit about how many explosions, how many ships, how many new characters you brought in. Every character fit into that story. They had some missteps, but on a whole, especially by the end of the last episode, you are so gratified. I was like everybody else, man. My 16-year-old inside was losing his mind. I know who's got the glove. I know who that is.
Yeah.
And you got teary-eyed and the whole thing, and it was like, now that's storytelling.
Right.
When you pull them by the hearts, when you pull them by the brain, you're leading them along. That's storytelling. I feel the same way about comics. We keep doing that. Even Watchmen. What I loved about Watchmen was Dave's sequentialism, the way he told his story, keeping it at that sort of he wasn't going big blockbuster, but he definitely made it intimate. Right. And I think that was the strength of Watchmen. We really learned and followed these characters. I like that. Miller in the first Dark Knight books. I won't talk about the last Dark Knight books.
No, we won't either.
We're simpatico. I mean, that was great storytelling. And again, when it comes down to it, if I want to be known, if I have any kind of accolade laid on me, I want to be known as a good storyteller. Even in animation, I tell people I'm not an animator, I'm a storyteller.
Right.
You know, I don't care how much flighty, flashy anime stuff you do. You got to pull me in with the story and keep me in my seat.
Right.
Even when the screen goes dark, I want this in your head. I want you to come back. Just like how we felt with The Mandalorian. We were compelled. Even WandaVision, which I felt, honestly, at the beginning was a failure. It paid off.
Right.
But I think, unlike Mandalorian, it took too damn long to pay off. But that's me. But it still was smart enough to tell a story.
Yeah.
With characters that we care about. Right. And you were surprised at the end, even if it was predictable.
Right.
Some famous writer says something about that. I can't remember. It was Billy Wilder about. Trying to remember the exact quote. Something about let your audience figure out. Either figure out the story. I'll find it eventually. It struck me because it's, in a nutshell, it is let your audience feel like they're part of this. Even if they figure it out, that they're enjoying figuring it out. Even if they're figuring it out before the character's on screen. It keeps them in the chair.
Yeah.
Because if you got them hooked and you take that turn and surprise them, oh, they're gonna love you even more.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's why, the WandaVision was what it was. People from the get-go were, there were theories right after the first episode. The hex, the shape of the hex, that has something to do with it. And it really didn't at the end of the day, at the end of the season. It was just
the way they wanted it. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone thought, everyone from the beginning to the end was Mephisto in some way, so, after a while, and I think that's part of the brilliance of that is that's what people were, the creators were counting on, I think, is that, okay, people are going to go run with this kind of like we did with Lost. And they're going to be kicking themselves when they come to realize, well, no, it really wasn't it. It was, it was all this. And,
it was all her. And it was always in front of us. I mean, hell, I had a friend brought up the John Byrne comics. He did it already and was, see, that's kind of cool. No one's sitting there with the comic book. I don't want you sitting there with the comic book going, when I was 10 years old, that was cool. We've done that now. But I like the idea that you may have that in your mind and I keep you in the seat, but then you get surprised. That's good storytelling.
Yeah.
I'm going to name drop because I like name dropping sometimes.
Please.
I was working recently a couple years ago with Mark Hamill. And it was right when he was he couldn't talk about it. He couldn't talk about I've been blessed to work with him a couple of times. And he's always been sweet. And I've always gone out of my way. The first rule was never bring up Star Wars. And Mark would always, if he feels comfortable, he'll bring up Star Wars. He won't tell you details, but you know what he's talking about.
You don't bring up Star Wars, but I sure as shit am going to bring up the Joker. So.
He'll do the Joker till the cows come home, man. No, Joker is his thing. And I'm proud to hear about that because those of us in the know, it's so bizarre that he was not considered that first. He got that out of what the fuck, let him do it. And he knocked it out of the park. And
I close my eyes and that's my Joker.
Easily. It's so much you got to be careful because he does it so much that he can go to the Joker and doesn't even know he's there himself. You got to there are times when he'll go into a voice. I can say this, we're doing a Spawn movie that no one's ever going to see, unfortunately. All these great people on it, and Mark was in it. He was actually playing Twitch, of all people.
Okay.
And he was doing a voice, and we just kept going. And finally, it was like, Mark, just do you. He goes, what do you mean, me? Yeah, you. His voice, because Mark's like your favorite uncle, your Jewish uncle. He's really. And he started doing that voice because that's the Twitch, and it wasn't him trying to affect it. It was just him kind of relaxing into it. And that was great. But it's still a god, as much as he won't say it, he's a legend. Oh, and he couldn't talk about Star Wars, but he was alluding up to, he was growing the beard. And he was like going, hey, I'm ready to be this character. And, and then he goes, and then how do you say it? Fucking Harrison breaks his ankle. in mid-shoot. So they had to go on like a 6-month hiatus. He goes, now I got this beard. I don't know what to do with it. So I let it grow and grow. And one day I look in the mirror and I goes, I'm a fucking duck. What's those guys? A duck?
Duck Dynasty.
Duck Dynasty. He goes, yeah, I'm one of the fucking Duck Dynasty guys now. So I'm kind of embracing it. And I'm looking at him like, Skywalker, Duck Dynasty. Like it. Awesome. You know? And, but you could tell as he was talking around the subject, which is why I have a hard time embracing the new trilogy, whatever they want to call it, because he was a little dissatisfied. He knew that you weren't going to give. And he also said something that leads to what we're talking about. Like, you don't have to give the fan what he wants, but you definitely want to give him the anticipation. Pay that anticipation off. The anticipation is where we wanted to see our friends get back together, or at least connect and pass on the baton that way. But to break them up before they even get together, that was just not a good idea. And you can see it didn't sit well with him, but he was a professional and did the job. And even now he still won't piss on it, but he's letting out more of what he felt.
Right.
When I was working with him, I got a really good, clear sense of that. Without him breaking protocol, that was a sweet thing. But
what was the biggest moment for you? I know you talked about it at DC, but you're shaking hands, you're meeting someone, and you're saying, this is happening right now. I'm shaking this person's hand. I'm having a conversation with this person. And the fanboy, and he was like, how's this happening?
I had that moment I told you with George and those guys. And then there was moments when I was at a Christmas party where I met Archie Goodwin. That was wonderful. My dinner with Don Heck was always wonderful. Don became like whatever my fanboy had thought of him. I never disliked Don. I'm honest, never disliked his work. The man was great. But you could tell when Don was working, and as I learned later, Don was doing what we all should be doing. Don worked. Don was a drawing machine. He kept working. He didn't sit there and go, I'm doing this to make some kind of get the Eisner Award. Fuck it. No, Don was making bank. And as a professional artist, that's the thing I would tell young artists, learn that more than trying to kiss somebody's ass for an award. Who gives a shit about these things? But sitting down and talking to him, he also was one of those artists who gave me a really strong sense of what I'm supposed to do, how I'm supposed to do. So that was great. I'm building up to 2 people who really made something to me. The first one was right after I got the JLA assignment. I am now no longer a new talent, even though I still am allowed to come into the office and hang with the new talent guys. I was just about getting those JLA jobs because Dick still want to look over my shoulder. But he's like, oh yeah, I think I was in the middle of doing The Brave and the Bold. And when they got the first 11 pages, that's when Len said, you're the new JLA guy. Period. Just finish this off.
Right.
And I'm like, well, but I'm not done. No, you're almost done, but you're what we want. So everyone else is excited. Me, I'm scared shitless. I'm thinking I'm not that good. I'm not ready. I go to Dick. Are you sure? Can I stay on New Talent? I want to draw the New Talent book. Because no, you're going to do JLA when this is done. By the way, where are those other pages? So a couple of us who were still in New Talent, still hanging out, decided that we needed to do the pilgrimage. The big pilgrimage is you go up to Continuity Studios in New York at the time, and you go see Neil Adams. And Neil's going to tell you if you suck or not. That was basically, he didn't go there specifically. He went there to basically see if Neil would kind of either offer you a job or tell you if you suck. But primarily it was basically to go see Buddha and go, ooh. So my 4 friends and I, our 3 friends and I went up to see him. And it was weird. I can't even remember that night. I remember getting to the office, but going there, I think I was nervous out of my mind. And he had 4 of the artists ahead of us. And so you had to sit outside and you can hear him talking to them. And it was Neil Adams in his glory telling you, you suck, telling you shit. This is badly drawn. Why'd you make a choice like that? Was the other thing. Neil would tell you down and ask you why'd you do what you did. So he made you justify if you're going to be good or not. So he went through guy, bang, bang, bang. I think we were there for a good 2 hours. So my friend went in who thought he was really hot shit. And he came out. I mean, Neil didn't even give him 15. Yeah, Neil give you 15 minutes. That's why it wasn't 2 hours, about an hour. So he gave you 15 minutes. And he came out just, ooh. This guy loved using reference and drawing from the basically draw over. And Neil was like, that's my shit, but I'm a master at it. You shouldn't be doing this. You're not a master at it.
Right.
I remember that clearly. And I was like, oh, fuck, when's he going to make it my stuff? I don't even do that. And so I'm the last guy. I go in, Neil sits back, goes, so tell me about you. What are you doing? What are you doing in comics? What do you want to do? He goes, well, I came from Detroit. I did all this. Oh, I got all you Detroit guys. He's told me everybody he worked. Terry Austin's from Detroit. Al Milgram's from Detroit. Mike Mossberg from Detroit. I know all you guys. Yeah, sure. What else you doing? And he goes, well, I'm with Giordano's new talent. Oh, you are? Yeah, that other guy was a new talent. So what's Dick doing? So he's asking all these questions, and I'm telling him, we're being trained for this. He goes, yeah, but are you getting paid well? And he goes, well, we're not getting paid yet. Oh, see, that's what we need a union for. So he was telling me about the union. And I'm still going, well, we haven't got to looking at my stuff yet. But he's telling me all about what we need to unionize and what he's been doing and how he's got this money for Schuster and Siegel, which we all put him on a pedestal for. So it's like, well, let me see your shit. Because you're saying Dick. He said, wait a minute. What did Dick do? He goes, well, he gave me Justice League. He put you on Justice League? What do you want to put you on Justice League for? Let me see your shit. Tell me why you're going to do Justice League. So I'm like, well, because it's an opportunity. I love Justice League. And something goes, well, stick up for yourself. I'm like, okay, I love DC. I've been looking at DC ever since. And he's just looking at my pages. And he stops, puts him down, and goes, you really want to do Justice League? And I goes, yeah. He goes, let me tell you something about being something in this business. And he basically got off the Neil and became the artist in saying how opportunities are going to come up, and it's important that you grab an opportunity that's going to open doors for you. This is a great opportunity for you. Right. I want you to, and I know you earned it, right, and that this is good. But if a better opportunity comes up, don't be afraid. He was teaching me to be a businessman. Right. And I'm listening to this shit, and I realized 40 minutes had just gone by. And so he's like, Dick put you on this book. I'm glad he's paying you. Make sure he's paying you good. Yeah. Now let me ask you something else. I'm looking at your stuff. Would you come work for me?
Whoa.
Nice.
Yeah. And I'm like, what? That was a swerve I did not expect. So I'm like, yeah, I got an opening. Would you come work for me? And then something said, think about what you just went through for the last 20 minutes, what he just told you. He's telling you basically become your own man. Make your own decisions. It's not just about money. It's about where you want to go with your career, where you see yourself, who you want to be, what do you represent. And I felt like this was like a kung fu moment where you had to snatch the pebble from the hand. I said to him, no, Mr. Adams, I think I'm going to stay on Justice League. He goes, good for you.
Nice.
So I walk out and the guys are going, what did you guys talk about for that long? And I went, Neil offered me a job. And that's all they heard. It fucked them up. That night, I got a hangover. I had to get up and finish Brave in the Boat.
Wow.
Significant person in my life, meeting Neil Adams, because Neil was always one of my favorites. Met Gil King later, all that. I mean, you meet the guys later, and they're all wonderful. I met Gil in the bullpen at DC. That was great. But the other significant person that I met that also made a big deal for me said that this was my childhood meeting the God. I'm in animation now. I left Justice League. I left it with my mind, with my tail between my legs. I left comics, actually. I'm now in animation, making more money in animation. But I'm basically at the start where I'm just doing, I'm not a star. Because I just saw stardom and it's like very fickle. I just want to make a living. I just want to draw. So I'm doing layouts and props for more money than I did pages and less work, but more anonymity. I didn't care. And I'm sharing an office with an older gentleman who I was told had been around a while. And he's ending his career in animation because it's giving him benefits and a lot of respect because of that. And it's Mike Sikowski. And when I realized it was him, everyone's like going, Mike's a pain in the ass to deal with. Nobody wants to be in the office with him. We got to put you in here. We're sorry, tough shit. You got to, I'm like, no, I want to sit with him. I want to sit with him. This is a guy I used to put on the first time I come in, he looks at me, so you're the new guy. He goes, yes, sir. And he goes, sir, what the fuck's that about? You know, it's like, I know who you are. Well, who am I? You used to draw Justice League. And then I said the thing that got him. I used to draw Justice League. Oh, you did, huh? Yeah, I did. I did it for 2 years. Show me one of your books. So I had a book with me. And he goes, yeah, okay. So next day, he brings in a shitload of art. And so we would do our assignments, and it was just Mike talking shit about being an artist in DC, showing me old sketches. That was the best fanboy moment ever. He gave me shit that I've listed, actually gotten stolen.
Oh, wow.
That I wish I kept. Told me stories about why he changed. Like one of my favorites that really got to him was like, you know, I don't care what anybody says. I love when you made Wonder Woman depowered and gave her martial art powers. That was awesome. You and Dick were really good. Oh, you remember that shit, huh? And then he'll tell me the real story behind it and all that. And so for a year, I shared an office with him.
That's
great.
He was not doing great with health, but it was, people were like going, dude, I don't know how you can handle him. And it's like, I goes, what's wrong with him? He's an old vet who has been through shit, and I am grateful to shut up and listen to him. Right. And he listened to me, but he had the stories I needed to hear. And they were fun. They were great. It was something I won't repeat. There are certain people he would tell me about that I just love because he was like, that guy was a complete motherfucking asshole. He was a pimp, you know. And I was like, oh, this is great, you know. And he was all the two of I have met is Neil and Mike.
That's awesome.
We got them. There are other people too. That's not fair. Those are the only two. I mean,
right.
Going back into. I didn't tell you the guy who really got me started. When I came out of college, and this is when I got crossroads of where do I go? I don't know where to go. I had an art degree that was honestly useless. And I even went to a big, high paying commercial art agency in Detroit who were honestly like, we would love to hire you just the kind of youth we want, but we're changing our style. We're going more towards computers or photographs. So we're not doing illustration because we usually take a guy like you. And that's why I was hoping to count on. That was going to be my art school, working in that. And that was over with. So I didn't know what to do. And then something said, comics. You got to try comics. You got nothing else to go for. And I heard about all the guys who came out of comics. There was these little fan books. Somebody mentioned Keith Pollard. Now, I didn't know, but Keith, being black, because Keith didn't have a lot of pictures of himself. By this time, there were other people. I mean, it was Billy Graham we all knew about. Love Billy Graham. Another artist named Ed Davis. But, you know, big guys like Graham and Pollard. And found out Pollard lived in the suburb of Detroit. And I got up the nerve to find his phone number. I don't know if I found it or it was given to me by somebody, but I wound up calling him cold. And he invited me over to his house. So for 2 hours, I got to sit and talk to him. And he gave me the ins and outs. Basically, get out of Detroit. You got to move to New York. That's when I moved to Boston to get to New York. He was like, you got to leave, Frog, but you got to get to New York to work in comics. There's no way in hell. I can do it from here because he was actually drawing a Conan cover as we were talking.
That's awesome.
To my mind, out of those other two men, Keith is up there because Keith was the one that said, looked at my stuff and went, you should be doing comics. I had no one ever looked at my stuff before and said that. And or even give me the belief that you can.
Yeah.
He had been there and back again. And so this was I remember saying, I wish my mom was alive where I can tell him, you know, yeah, we are out there. We're doing well. But Keith was drawing so much. You know, he was doing Thor, I think, at the time. A couple other books. But anyway, those are the guys that always stand out for me, that made me proud to be in comics, made me, you know, excited when I met them. Jump forward, little story. 2 years ago, I'm at a convention with a friend of mine who's a producer, and we're walking around, and there's Neil. And, Neil doing the Neil thing, drawing and talking to people. And he was fortunately at this time, did not have a long line, didn't have anybody in front of him. Now, my friend had worked with him on, I can't think, Bucky O'Hare.
Oh, all right.
Animated series. He was one of the artists on that before he became a director. I was remembering going up to see him in 82 and talking to him. My friend said, you should go talk to him. You should go tell him who you are now. This is after the Emmy. This guy I'm with is actually the guy I got the Emmy with for Spawn.
Awesome.
So
Wow.
we're both like, I don't know. We should go talk to him. He goes, you go talk to him. You go talk to him. You're the one that had the close encounter with him the first time. So I go up and say, Mr. Adams, I don't think you remember me. He's looking at me like, yeah. He goes, well, I know it was 30-something years ago. And he goes, what did I do? And he goes, well, I showed you my portfolio way back then, and I was young, and I was just starting the business. He goes, oh, no. Did I hurt you? Did I do something bad? No. You sure I didn't destroy your life? No, you didn't. He goes, what did I tell you? He goes, well, you told me that, I should be my own man, and that, don't listen to Gennaro unless he's paying real money. And he goes, oh, God, I said that? He goes, yeah. And then you offered me a job. And he's cracking up now. I did? I goes, yeah, you did. You didn't take it? No. Now he's on the floor. So it's like, you didn't take the job? I go, no, I've had French illustrators look at me when I talk to them later and went, you turned down Neil Adams? And he goes, well, why'd you do that? Because he told me to become my own man. Yeah. And he goes, well, did you? I goes, I got this and this and this. Yeah. Because you're doing all right then? Because I'm doing all right. Because I'm glad. And it was like, this was worth it, And then my friend said to him, Neil, we worked together on Bucky O'Hare. He goes, oh my God, Bucky O'Hare. And this is when I wish we had used our phones. Because Neil would charge you. He was like, no pictures unless you pay money. Neil starts to rap out the Bucky O'Hare rap song. We didn't know. He was just getting into it, just spitting it out. And we're like, record this so we can make money on YouTube.
Actually, you'll never see that again.
You would never see that. You know we can get away with it because we're two professionals. We're not going to rip them off. But it was just, Neil Adams rapping. This is the best. So that was like a nice little close the door on an old thing. I just wanted to tell him thank you. I have one more person to do that with. I actually got Keith Holler's number, so I'm going to give him. Oh, nice. Because I feel like these are guys, we're lucky to have them now. They may not be around. They made an impression on me before I even knew who they were.
Right.
I wouldn't have become who I am without them. I even told Neil that. I became who I am because of you. Right. And that's what really got him, because he was worried about, did I insult you? He goes, no, not at all. You chewed out 5 other guys.
But he was good with you, though.
Right. That's what got him. It was like, you chewed those guys out. They all crawled out, and he was like, I was going to jump off the window, but luckily he was on the 3rd floor. And on me, you offered a job, and I turned you down. So, and there's days that I sit there and go, what the hell were you working? I would have learned so much working for him. On the other hand, I hear all this story, so maybe I'm lucky. So,
say 100%.
Thank you. Those are the 60. Those are the people who have been like real pantheons for me.
Yeah,
I've met, and I'm really grateful.
Well, I want to thank you because I know we're spent quite a bit of time talking to us, and we greatly appreciate it. You have an amazing career, and you have
talking about.
Yeah, I mean, we made a list of questions, and we could spend hours. No, don't apologize. Because everything you said was very compelling and very interesting. So. Don't apologize. It was great. And if you have the time again in the future, we would love to be able to chat with you again.
I would love to. These things, honestly, during this time period, these chats with everybody has been, I like to think this is my way of giving back, keeping me sane as well. I mean, those of us who are used to working alone, it's like a walk in the park for a month. But it's been a year now.
Yeah.
So, these little, I enjoy like listening to the one you did with Bill Lopes, and he's no Detroiter. you know, still in Detroit, I think, right? I think.
No, I think he's in
Ohio or Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Okay. But that was
because he's close to Mike Jones.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that, listening to him. I've been at one of my first shows was with him, and I always liked Bill. He's just a sweetheart, and I love his work. And it was great. That's what made me want to do it with you guys, because I loved how you just had him just talk about his stuff. He seemed really relaxed, and you guys were wonderful with him. Great questions.
Thank you. That means a lot, man.
You know, wow. And it's fun to hear this shit, because I know as a fanboy, this is the stuff, you know. I mean, I love telling the Neil Adams story because it's true. Right. I mean, you got to realize how frightened I was at the time. And then here it is, 30 years later, I'm Mr., you know, so I got an Emmy and shit. And it's like, Neil, I got to go up and get Neil again. And him going, did I hurt you? And it's just something that kills me. Like, he's even aware of his own presence. But these things let us touch each other. And that's why I'm glad I was allowed to do it.
It's awesome, man.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, I want to, again, thank our guest, Mr. Patton, for being here. Oren, thank you for being here as well with us.
Or neither one of us would be here.
Yes, exactly. I hope everyone has enjoyed this interview as much as I have. We hope to have you back. And I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy. Wear a mask, do your parts, and like and subscribe. And we'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.